How much would you be willing to pay to get the full experience of a game? Is $60 not enough to get everything that a game is supposed to be, all the content that is supposed to make up the game, make it a full experience? Or does DLC have to be a thing? Pokemon Sword and Shield came out a little while ago, and these were the first two games that Pokemon have released that did not include all of the original Pokemon from the previous games in them. It was the first time they did it, and the fans were upset. And honestly, I absolutely understand why. I mean, if every single game that came out before it had put in the older Pokemon that were in there, you got all that content right out the gate just buying the base game, then why did these not have that? Well, Pokemon Sword and Shield have finally entered the DLC game. Both editions, Sword and Shield, will both have expansion passes that will have two expansions, one set to come out this spring and the other in the fall of this year. Both of these expansion passes cost $30 each, with the base games both costing $60 each. Pokemon Sword is $60, Pokemon Shield is $60, and then you got each expansion pass for $30 each. Meaning that to get the full experience, right, because both of these games have different Pokemon, they have different areas, they have different things to do. They are different games. They're both Pokemon, but they are different games at their core. To get the full experience, if you're a true Pokemon fan, you would have to spend $180, just plop it right on the table to get the full experience. To me, like $180 to get a full experience from a game franchise like Pokemon, which I loved as a kid and really brings back a bunch of nostalgia, and I know has a huge fan base. It's one of the best selling media franchises of all time. Why should it cost this much to get the full experience when in just a couple years back you were able to provide that for us for the cost of a base game? And I know it's a business, right? You got to make a profit. It's all about making profit, and they probably figured that, like most other game companies, just offering the base game at that price would not be good enough for them as a business, and more importantly for them and their investors. Investors want that moolah, and DLC is the easiest and quickest way to get more money out of a product that you put time into without actually creating much more from that base game. And in Pokemon's case, it looks like they've kind of already had this planned out. This wasn't a spur of the moment, like, oh shoot, we don't have enough content here, we need to give out some breadcrumbs to keep people enticed. This seems like, watching the trailers, they definitely had a concept of what they wanted to do. And it honestly looks like the exclusion of keeping all of these Pokemon out of the base game was kind of an intentional move on their part to get people enticed into spending this extra $30 on these games. So I guess if you just get one of these games for $60 and you decide not to buy the expansion pass, then yeah, you're $60 for a game that's probably going to have a fraction of the content that it could have or really should have. So is $180 too much? It's too much for me. I think for a lot of people, they will definitely spend that amount of money. If the true fans of the franchise, of the series, they will definitely spend that money, no doubt about it, because they want to get the full experience, and that's fine. If you want to spend that money to get the full experience from something that you love and get enjoyment out of, that's great. Go for it. It's why it's there. But for me, I just think it's just kind of getting ridiculous to me, to this point where, there's some game companies like Call of Duty or Battlefield who come out and they release the base game and they've said no more paying extra for the season pass or whatever, But I do have to give them credit for not having some sort of super elite special ultra mega limited edition bundle that you have to buy, right, for like $150. That's at least a plus, I guess, like most other games do nowadays. They just kind of release these small content updates that give you more maps and more content, and that's That's great. I love that business model. Even though they do still charge for little microtransactions, like little shortcut bundles or cosmetics, skins, different weapons, different characters, stuff like that, it's still better, I think, than just flat out having some big fee to get extra content that should have been there in the first place. So yeah, overall, $180 for the full experience of Pokemon Sword and Shield, the latest release of Pokemon, if you really want to get the entire package. But is $180 too much? I think it is, but I'd like to know what you think in the comments down below. Remember, if you like this, leave a like. Remember to subscribe if you haven't, and that's it.